From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fairbanks Evening News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Our top story tonight, U.S. Army officials say court-martial trial for the Fort Wainwright soldier accused of murdering his 3-year-old son will begin November 3rd in Washington State.
According to a release, Sergeant Nathaniel E. Ulrone, 24, 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 25th Infantry Division, will be tried at Joint Base Lewis McChord. Ulrone is facing charges including premeditated murder and kidnapping, 3 specifications of rape, aggravated assault, and more. Officials say the witnesses and judge all reside in Washington, which is the reason he won't be tried in Alaska. The charges stem from the April 3rd death of his 3-year-old son in the family's on-post residence. Witnesses said military police responded to that residence.
Not guilty pleas for a Fairbanks man accused of attempted murder, burglary, and assault. 35-year-old Levi Rachinsky is facing a total of 15 charges. Court documents say Rachinsky drove to the residence on Roberts Roost Road in a stolen vehicle. He then allegedly stole a number of items, including a firearm and clothing. The victims on scene said afterwards he returned to the property with the gun while troopers were investigating. It was then that he threatened to shoot one of the men and actually pulled the trigger. Now the gun didn't go off, but authorities say that it was fully loaded.
A Fairbanks man has been indicted on multiple charges, including attempted murder and felony assault. 39-year-old Richard Waker Lane was indicted by the Fairbanks grand jury on October 23rd. According to authorities, Lane forced his way into a home and assaulted his estranged wife on August 24th. Troopers say he then attempted to strangle the unidentified female 4 different times. She was able to escape and call police for help. State prosecutors said a warrant has been issued for his arrest. However, Lane is currently residing in Ohio and has to be extricated back to Alaska.
A Fairbanks teenager pleaded not guilty this afternoon in Fairbanks Superior Court after allegedly stealing multiple vehicles in Tanana. 18-year-old Eric Semikin is charged with 1 count of vehicle theft and driving without a license. Village public safety officers in charge of the case say he will be facing an additional 2 charges of theft. Now, court documents say Semikin stole a pickup truck from a residence in Tanana. The victim of the theft followed Semikin and had to physically remove him from the truck to get it back. Prosecution said Semikin was a danger to the public and that he had even made threats to the law enforcement. Now, trial for his case is set for January 2015.
A Fairbanks man is in jail after police say he shot at an apartment building last week. 35-year-old Ray Tyrone Clemens was arrested by police on Friday, charged with second-degree weapons misconduct and reckless endangerment. According to police, the shooting was a drive-by, and Clemens intended to shoot an unidentified victim who lived at the apartment located on E Street in Hamilton Acres. The two knew each other and were allegedly having a disagreement over several issues. No injuries were reported. Clemens was arraigned in Fairbanks District Court on Saturday. His bail was set at $20,000 plus the condition of a third-party custodian.
Another escapee from the North Star Center was arraigned yesterday in Fairbanks District Court. 31-year-old Michael Lorenz, who is being held on charges including vehicle theft, forgery, and possession with intent to deliver methamphetamines, is now faced with felony escape. Now, prosecutors yesterday asked to secure a higher bail after he escaped from custody shortly after arriving. He is one of more than 4 reported walkaways in the recent weeks. Fairbanks District Court Judge Dee Benedetto agreed, setting bail for Lorenz at $20,000 plus the condition of a third-party custodian.
Well, did you see the cannabis man near University in Geist over the weekend? Some citizens are taking to the streets and waving signs in support of Proposition 2, which will be on the ballot November 5th. Prop 2 is a bill that will make legal the production and use of marijuana in the state of Alaska. Some residents waved signs reading "Yes on 2" on the corner of Geist and Johansson this weekend. The organizers didn't have much success gathering more than 5 people for sign waving on Saturday. Participant Brian Salderio says they have more than made up for with positive support from bystanders and drivers.
A lot of thumbs up, a lot of smiles, if anything, making people smile and have a good day. Well, think about it like this. What's the worst thing that happens when you smoke too much marijuana? You might eat a little too much food. You might fall asleep on your couch. You're not going to black out and go hurt anybody. So look at the pros and the negatives of smoking marijuana compared to alcohol, and it's really not that bad.
Now, they say they will continue to wave signs supporting marijuana during the weekend and on Election Day.
All right. Well, before we go to our teas, we want to let everybody know that we have a new pumpkin on set, and that's thanks to Larry Moen. So thanks, Larry. That's a pretty cool little carving there.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
All right, but now when we come back, a congressional debate sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce was held today, and we have the details.
Also, we have your weekly health report. Those stories plus more when the Fairbanks Evening News continues. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Fairbanks Evening News. Next Tuesday, Alaska voters will elect 2/3 of the state's congressional delegation. Alaska candidates for the United States Senate, as well as the U.S. House of Representatives, debated today at the final Fairbanks Chamber of Commerce election forum of the season. Jamie Schwartzwald was there and has this story.
We start with the U.S. Senate race between Democrat Mark Begich, the incumbent, and Republican challenger Dan Sullivan. Much of the focus during today's forum at the Carlson Center was centered on this race. The two candidates sparred on issues ranging from oil and gas exploration and development, immigration reform, and the Affordable Care Act. During the candidate-to-candidate question period, Sullivan asked Begich if he would apologize for what Sullivan termed as negative and inaccurate attack ads. Begich said he would have handled some of the ads differently, but stands by ads that state he voted with Senator Lisa Murkowski 80% of the time. Begich asked Sullivan if he supported hedge fund and free market manipulation, to which Sullivan said he did not support such manipulation. I sat down with both candidates following the debate to get their thoughts on the forum.
And I think for the voters, they get a chance to see the differences here. And I hoped I was more specific and laid out what I believed in, what not only I've worked on, but what I believe in the future of Alaska. And I think people get a good comparison.
Debate showed a very different approach, both in terms of record and philosophy of government between me and Mark Begich. And that's what debates are about. So, I talked about his record of voting with Barack Obama and 98% of the time.
House of Representative candidates included Democrat Forrest Dunbar, Libertarian Jim McDermott, and incumbent Republican Don Young. All three said they support the Alaska Native community. All three also say the Federal Environmental Protection Agency has overstepped bounds in terms of the Endangered Species Act. However, when asked how they voted on ballot measure 1, a failed referendum of Alaska Senate Bill 21 last August, the candidates did not agree. McDermott and Dunbar say they supported it, while Young said he did not.
We need more oil, and I'll give Governor Pinnell credit for what he's done in trying to get this pipeline filled, as it should be filled.
We're looking at the ROI, the return on your investment, Alaska. Over the years it goes down, it doesn't go up.
But at the time I felt it was a gamble. It shifted a tremendous amount of risk from the oil companies onto the state.
Jamie Schwartzwald reporting.
Some high school students will be packing their instruments and flying to Anchorage to play with some of the best student musicians in Alaska. The Fairbanks North Star Borough School District recently submitted several audition recordings to a committee from the Alaska School Activity Association. The committee specifically chooses the best students in Alaska to play for the All-State Music Festival in Anchorage. About 50 high school students were chosen from the interior to join the other nominees for the event. The All-State Music Festival starts November 22nd. West Valley Orchestra Director Michelle Jeglum says the chosen students will be utilizing the time they have by training after school. She says the festival is a great stepping stone for students looking for a career in music.
Very exciting. There's a really good energy about the whole event. Everybody's real positive. They learn so much. It's also very tiring. They expect a lot out of these kids, and they always deliver.
Colon cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the U.S. That's why doctors say screenings are so important. Monty Bowen has more in this health report.
Denise Plant tested positive for colorectal cancer 10 months ago and has been undergoing treatment. She is 58 years old.
I'm one of those people who was really afraid of the process.
But in January, she decided to go through with a screening colonoscopy.
When I was sitting in recovery and Dr. Coranth came into the room, I knew I was in trouble.
Denise had surgery a week after diagnosis and underwent months of chemotherapy.
I wanted to do everything I could do to make sure that my cancer went away.
Now a few months removed from chemotherapy, her doctor says the prognosis is good.
My message is, please go out and get tested because it's really important.
A colorectal cancer screening is recommended beginning at age 50. Sooner, if there is a family history of the disease. Preventative screening tests are usually covered in full by insurance. This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The Health Report is brought to you by the Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic, located in the Medical Dental Arts Building. Call 456-7768.
All right, well, up next, we announce some of the all-state football teams, plus this week's Nana Corner.
All right, and a player makes a personal comeback in that story. All that and more with Joe after the break.
Welcome back, Interior Sports fans. Joe Cook here in the Sports Seat for you this Tuesday evening with your local sports. We start with this week's Nana Corner. Today's story is about a volleyball player who's made a comeback this season after not being able to play the sport she loves for a whole year. Here's more on Maddie Davis.
In 2013, something happened to Maddie Davis that never happened to her before. Days before last season started, the new UAF volleyball recruit from Puyallup, Washington, went down in practice after only being in Fairbanks for a week.
I was going up to hit on the outside, and I just came down on it weird. Like, it was kind of a freak accident, and it didn't hurt, but I was definitely in shock.
Davis tore her ACL, MCL, and meniscus, sidelining her all of last season. It was a huge letdown to the team.
We all were just went pale, and we were all sick, and it was absolutely horrible. Just one of the most horrifying feelings you can ever have, knowing your friend's down and done for the year.
We had her pegged to make freshman of the year in the conference, and absolutely, if she wouldn't have fallen, had that little accident in practice, that no doubt in our minds that she would have been up there.
Being out for a whole year was the first time she had been inactive for so long in her life. Supported by her teammates, coaches, family, and friends, Davis used the time off the court to sharpen her mind and strengthen her body.
It made me physically stronger and mentally, because I had to work hard all year and train and get stronger, and I helped out in practice, and so I really got to learn all the specific details for every position and just little things that you don't always see when you're playing.
It was a long road of rehab, but on September 4th, 2014, she made her debut against St. Edward's at the Patty Center.
It was awesome. My first college game. I was a little nervous, of course, but it was great to be back on the court.
We used to jokingly say to each other, man, the first time you get a hit, I'm going to start crying. And I did start tearing up. We all did, in that practice, and it was just, it was beautiful because it was a perfect hit.
Davis is making up for lost time. She's played in all of UAF's matches and is third on the team in kills, blocks, and assists. Her hitting percentage of 23% is 16th in the GNAC.
She just stayed positive, and she had great support and gave that support back to her teammates. And so I think in that way she really was serving as a role model for not only her teammates, but for us coaches too, to stay positive.
This journey back to the court for Davis was a lesson about virtues.
It's a lot of patience to have to go through an injury like that. Being an athlete my whole life, and I've never been off the court that long, and then being active all my life, and then all of a sudden not being able to do anything was tough. But I think you just have to be patient and positive through the whole thing.
Nana Corner, brought to you by Sports Medicine Fairbanks.
Alaska Volleyball takes on St. Martin's on Thursday and Western Oregon on Saturday. A number of interior football players continue to add to their 2014 trophy case, if you will. This week, the large and medium schools all-state teams were released on the large schools' first-team offense. All-state team, Lathrop Jr. quarterback Glenn Maiden Jr. He was the Rail Belt Offensive Player of the Year, and Lathrop running back Travis Phillips were there for Lathrop. West Valley wideout Devin Prince Cooks was first-team offense for the Wolfpack. On the first-team defense, Lathrop defensive back Nathan Barnett and D-tackle Daniel Zhang were all state and large schools. Ryan Perdue was a second-team pick on defense for the Malamutes. Assistant Coach of the Year goes to Lathrop's Richard Tuck. And for the medium schools all-state team, North Pole running back DeAndre Campbell, tight end Shane Hurst, and wide receiver Garrett Woolman were first-team offense. Lineman Kyle Fuller and defensive back Curtis McNeil were first-team defense for the Pats. 7 other Patriots were second-team selections. For the full list of the large and medium schools all-state teams, visit the sports page on Webster11.com. We'll do the small schools tomorrow. The West Valley Wolfpack swimming program is surging through the pool waters right into regionals. In the last all-school swim meet was any indication. The regular season finale in the Westcott Pool and North Pole of the weekend, West Valley's Angie Randall won the 200 free and 50 free. Randall posted times of 2 minutes, 1.43 seconds in the 200 and 26.22 seconds in the 50. On the boys team, Ryan Nicholson won the 200 free and 100 backstroke. Nicholson won the boys 200 in 1 minute, 59.57 seconds. And the backstroke in under a minute, 59.51 seconds. Both were also key in 2 relay victories as well for the Wolfpack. This week is Region 6 Championship week for interior swim teams. This Thursday are the diving preliminaries, which start at 7 p.m.
Friday are the swimming prelims at 6, and Saturday are the Region 6 finals. They begin at 6 p.m. The 3-day interior swimming regionals are all at the Hamby Pool. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Your full weather forecast is coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our weather part of the news. And Joe and Daryl,
Yes.
I think that we're going to see even colder temperatures tonight.
No, you're not.
How do you guys feel about that?
Mistake.
It was pretty chilly today.
It was.
But it's not too bad yet. I mean, we're still hoping.
Could be worse.
It could be.
You're
Let's
right.
take a look at the almanac and see what we have right now. 21 degrees currently, high for today. The low was 5 degrees, record high 51, set in 2013, just last year, Joe. Do you remember that?
Actually, I tend to forget those bad memories.
51, that's good.
Oh.
All right, 17 below was set in 1953. The sun rose this morning at 9:27 a.m. and will set, or has set, at 5:43 p.m. That gives us 8 hours and 17 minutes, a loss of 6 minutes from yesterday. Okay, taking a look at the Alaska satellite. As you can see, most of the action is going on into the western part of Fairbanks, of Alaska. Over Fairbanks, there's not much precipitation-wise, but you can see Juneau and Ketchikan still do have rain showers. We'll look at that later. And Anchorage can also expect some precipitation today and tomorrow as well. Okay, current conditions are up on your screen. Let's start over with Juneau and Ketchikan. They just can't get away from the rain, 40s for them. Go back up to Fairbanks. It was a mostly cloudy day today. Fairbanks had a temperature of 17 degrees. Up in Barrow, 24 degrees, not too bad. Warmer in Barrow than it was in Fairbanks. That's pretty cool. Okay, so over to the west side, Nome 32 degrees, Bethel 35. And Cold Bay, you can see they are actually having a mixture of rain and snow right now, and that's going to continue into tomorrow. Let's take a look down at the lower 48. Okay, the Pacific Northwest, they are getting some rain there, okay, and still Seattle under rain. 71 degrees in San Francisco, 78 in Vegas, 88 in Phoenix. Look at that, just blaring sunshine over there. Let's take a look over at New Orleans. It looks like they're getting some thunderstorm activity, but Miami has 86 degrees, mostly sunny skies, and up in New York, you can tell those guys are just under rain today. Okay. Let's take a look at that system going through over the northeast part of our country. As you can tell, it looks like it just spans all the way down into New Orleans. New Orleans are getting some pretty severe thunderstorms there, and we'll take a look back at Alaska now. Scattered snow showers for Barrow, up to 2 inches of snow for Nome, and decreasing clouds in Fort Yukon. All right, 12 degrees in Fort Yukon, 21 in Barrow, and 29 in Nome. Okay, let's move on into interior Alaska. We're not going to have any precipitation, like I said, but we're going to be in the teens for highs tomorrow. Partly cloudy across the region for there. Okay, let's take a look over at Juneau and Ketchikan. It just continues for them. Periods of rain for Juneau and Ketchikan. No snow because their temperatures are still pretty warm, 45 and 50 in Ketchikan. Okay, over to the southwest. Rain for Kodiak, mixed rain and snow for Bethel and Cold Bay. Temperatures there ranging from 21 to 38 degrees. Not too bad. All right. Take a look at the south central. Clouds in Homer and Anchorage. Isolated rain and snow in Valdez. So as Mike likes to say, a mixed bag of weather. All right, let's take a look at our kids' weather watch. Our fact, 1989, storm in western U.S. produced 10 to 20 inches of snow. That's a lot for those guys. Okay, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring. Mike Schultz will be back here shortly. And all this week and next, we will share unique and interesting weather facts with you. For tonight, here it is, 10 below. Mostly clear, but yeah, just get ready to plug those vehicles in, guys, because it's definitely going to start cooling down. That's a range. It's 10 below to 0, so, you know, it could be coming anywhere there, but time to start plugging in the cars, I think. All right, for tomorrow, we're going to be in the teens, 18 degrees, mostly clear skies, but definitely more cool. And as you can tell, the negative temperatures continue into this week, but it might, you know, taper off for Halloween, maybe, if we're lucky. I don't know. Why are you laughing at me?
I don't know. Stephanie, you always do a good job of weather. Like, it's so funny. Like, it's meat and potatoes, you're just straightforward.
This is what it is, you know? It is what it is. So
I just keep looking at the pumpkin.
The pumpkin.
Yes,
I know,
this is crazy. It came in today.
Looks like I'm grabbing it, but I'm
It was from Larry.
Larry Moen.
Yeah, he did a really nice job on this
Therapy.
pumpkin.
Thanks, Larry, for the
So, and if you have any pumpkin photos, why don't you go on our social media page and share them with us and share your pumpkin carvings and your costumes, appropriate costumes, we must say.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Share
Maybe
with us.
some
We like to
pumpkin
see.
pie, actually. That would be a lot.
You could bring it to us. Yeah. We'll eat it.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's right around the corner, too.
All right, you've been forewarned. Pumpkin it is. All right, thank you, Stephanie. That will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, another Ebola patient has been released from medical care. The Second Nurse. That's next with Brian Williams.
You can join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webcenter11.com.
All right, from all of us here at the News Center, including our new pumpkin jack-o'-lantern now, not a pumpkin. Have a great night.
Larry says good night.